because I thought I was a free person living in a free country and I had freedom of speech. Turned out I didn't. We look at Black Lives Matter now and we think to ourselves, oh, who was right on that? The 450 idiots who wanted Nick the Nazi sacking? Or Nick?
We're today's news talk, The Pulse.
Hello and welcome back to Nick Talks here on The Pulse. This episode we're going to be talking to a gentleman who was arrested for putting videos on YouTube. That's his part-time job. Just like me, he puts videos on YouTube and talks about politics, but he got arrested and now he's on bail. We'll be speaking to him in a few minutes' time. But I wanted to share a story with you first about me. You may not know this, but I was cancelled roughly 5 years ago at the height of Black Lives Matter because I thought I was a free person living in a free country and I had freedom of speech. Turned out I didn't. I didn't have freedom of speech. Black Lives Matter hit the scene. I wrote a 700-word blog looking at Black Lives Matter, trying to work out what they were, and I posted it online and all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. I was called a Nazi, a fascist, a racist. I ran my own charity at the time, and then a petition was set up to have me fired. Fired from the charity I set up. From the charity 6 months earlier, I'd been awarded an MBE by the late Queen of England for the work I'd done with the charity. That counted as nothing. I was now a racist and a Nazi because I dared challenge Black Lives Matter. Not about anything particular, just about what they put on their website. And what did they put on their website? Overthrow capitalism. Stupid idea. Capitalism has taken us all out of poverty. It's not a perfect system, and lots of capitalism now is corrupt. It's not how it should be running, but it's better than anything else we've got at the moment. But the big one for me was disrupt the Western nuclear family. And I said to myself, what the hell does that mean? Disrupt the Western nuclear family? Now, I knew straight away, because I'm a bit clever, I knew they were all English words. But I've never heard them put in that sequence before. And I had to sit down and figure out, what does that mean? Disrupt the Western nuclear family. And I could come to one conclusion. And that conclusion was they wanted less fathers in the home. Less fathers in the home. That's the number one issue we have in the West, and especially my country. Lack of fathers in the home. That is the issue that causes many of our social problems. And they want more of that. It was obvious when you look into the organisation, a Marxist communist organisation run by 3 black lesbians. Of course they want less dads in the house. They've been pushing that all my life. So I wrote a blog, put it online, talked about their website and talked about what we need to do if we want to improve the lives of black people in my country. And I suggested things like we need to tackle female genital mutilation. Still goes on in my country. Thousands a year are being mutilated by their parents. I also mentioned male genital mutilation. Why do we always go, oh, girls, we shouldn't be doing that to girls, but we all go, perfectly fine with boys. Let's mutilate boys. I was mutilated at 6 years old by the state. I went into hospital with an hernia, and while I was there, they decided, oh, let's cut the top of that off for a start. I was mutilated by the state for no particular reason, because it was fashionable, because at that moment in time, hospitals and doctors thought, let's just get that done. It's out of the way then. And then I talked about fathers in home. You know, the black community, no matter where you look, has a problem with keeping fathers in the home. And boys and girls both need fathers. It's obvious when we look at boys, of course they need a father. They need to know what a man is, what a man's role is, how to treat women. That's what fathers bring to a relationship. But they're also really important for girls as well. Of course they are. How does a girl know what a good man looks like, what a good man does, what to expect from a man if they don't see it growing up? Hence why lots of our girls now think the way to get a good man is through sex and prostituting themselves. That's why girls are lost. Just like boys, they have no fathers. In my country, it's something like 75%, 80% of all male prisoners come from fatherless homes. That's what leads them to jail. No father figures, no discipline. So I wrote this article, and then the mob came for me. Petition was set up to have me fired from the charity I founded. The board of the charity, who were friends of mine, all panicked. They saw what was going online. 450 people signed a petition to have me fired. Get rid of Nick the Nazi. Get rid of him. And they looked at what was going on online, and the fact no one came to my defence, not one person. 2 decades working across Greater Manchester, improving people's lives, working with councils, the police, housing associations, other charities, not one person came to my defence. And that wasn't because they didn't believe I was a good person. That was because they looked at the angry mob with the pitchforks and the torches and went, oh, that looks a bit dangerous to me. I'm not getting in between them and Nick. They can have Nick. And that's exactly what the board of trustees did at my charity. They looked at the mob and went, oh, I don't want to fight that. Let's sack Nick. Nick's gone. End of problem. So they sacked me over email. A 1-sentence email. Sacked immediately. They should have known I wasn't going to take that. They were friends of mine. They should have known. They should have known that they would have a better chance sticking with me and we'll fight the mob together. But they didn't, did they? Cowardice took over. And in the heat of the moment, they panicked and sacked me. Now, to begin with, it looked like they'd won. For the first week, I was a beaten man. Didn't have free speech anymore now. I was a broken man. But then my common sense kicked in and old Nick reappeared and went, we're not having this. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. I've had challenges in my life. I've overcome. And I'm going to let these woke idiots online and these cowards at my charity treat me like that. I might not win, but I'll tell you what, I'll be a bloody good second. So I mounted a fight back. The Mail on Sunday did an article on me. The Free Speech Union came on board and they helped me. And within 5 weeks, within 5 weeks, I forced the board to resign in disgrace. All 4 of them, made them all resign in disgrace. We then appointed a new board to the charity and they gave me my role back as chief exec of the charity. 5 weeks it took to beat them all. During that fight, a former trustee of the charity set up a petition to have me reinstated, and that got over 8,000 signatures online. That's quite a lot when you compare it to the 450 people who got me sacked. Now, life's hard. Life's always been hard. And I don't class myself a victim for what went on because I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I spoke out about Black Lives Matter. I'm glad I used my freedom of speech because if you don't use it, you lose it. You have to criticize what you don't like. You have to risk offending other people because if you don't risk offending people, then you're never going to say anything of importance because every important topic, every issue we have in our country, to understand it, to explain it, to explore it, you're going to have to risk offending somebody. And I offended people. And for that, I'm not sorry. Because let's be honest, over the last 4 or 5 years, we look at Black Lives Matter now and we think to ourselves, oh, who was right on that? The 450 idiots who wanted Nick the Nazi sacking, or Nick, the one who stood up and was counted? I'll tell you what, we all know who was right now, don't we? Black Lives Matter is a discredited organisation full of pedos, criminals, perverts, money launderers, drug users. Almost every week, someone from Black Lives Matter is being arrested. I've not been arrested. I may do if I carry on talking, because our next guest is going to let you know what happens if you keep talking. If you think you've got freedom of speech. I got punished for my freedom of speech, but I didn't get arrested. I didn't get taken to a police cell. I wasn't remanded on bail. That's the country we live in now. That's the UK. And that's many Western countries. And it isn't getting better. It's getting worse. We are beginning to win the fight, but we've got several more years of it getting worse before we get a grip on this. Now, with no further ado, let's get our first guest on the show, and you won't believe this story. But before that, let's go to a quick break at the Pulse News Talk. See you when you get back.